Yo, what's going on, people? It's your boy 8Poncho, back at you again with another video. Now today we got a little bit of a different video. I'm going to be reviewing the Met Policing London. For you guys that don't know, the BBC do a documentary series called the Met Policing London. I did a video last week regarding the case of Young Dizz, and I was explaining how he was going to be on this week's episode. So we're just going to go over the case, we're going to go into a bit more detail, have a look, and we'll take a deep dive into the case. My other video link will be down in the description if you want to go check out my other video. We will be deep diving in this one, so you might not have to go watch it. But if you're interested, I might have missed something out. You know, there might be some information missing. So, you know, if you want to go watch it, feel free. To give you a little bit of a backstory, Isaac Donker, known as Young Dizz, he's a part of 6th Gang, and they're from Beckton, which is in Newham, East London. In August last year, he and 4 of his accomplices, 2 boys aged 16 and 2 boys aged 14, were involved in the kidnapping of a 16-year-old, and where he was tortured for 2 hours but then was released. The police had noticed that it was Young Dizz, so they arrested him and the 4 others, and in April this year he was sentenced to 12.5 years. Operation Trident, which is a Met Police Service unit originally set up in 1998 to tackle gun crime and homicides in African Caribbean communities, had been looking into Young Dizz prior to the kidnapping incident, and this was due to him and 6th Gang recruiting children to be a part of their gang. The Trident officers said that Young Dizz and other members of the gang had been grooming them using tactics such as going to schools, threatening them with acid, and Young Dizz, being a drill rapper, was using his influence to lure children in, to give them a lifestyle that their quote-unquote parents couldn't give them, such as taking them out to meals. This way he would trap them, and for them to pay him back, they would have to start working for him, selling drugs, and also proving themselves by using violent means, such as stabbing and shooting opposition, or in the case we're about to look at, kidnap.
Last week there was a number of intelligence reports coming in saying that this particular group were going to turn up at school to target young children, throw acid in their face, threaten them. We know that they've been following some of the kids off at some of the school gates. We've had to put extra resources in and around that, covert and overt, to try and manage that risk.
The team believe that gang member Isaac Donker is recruiting young teenagers to carry out violence.
We are doing proactive investigations around Isaac Donker. So we know he's very active in terms of rap videos and Snapchat.
Donker is a key player in the gang and is well known as a drill artist.
Do a drill or a pen. 4-man, 3 shanks on the up block, 24-inch, we'll leave him drenched. Like how many times did I chef him? How's he alive? It don't make sense. It's kidnap squad at your door. It's a kidnap, get on the floor, back of the tinted chord.
He makes references to chefing people, which is another street term for stabbing people. He talks about the kidnap squad being at your door.
It's kidnap squad at your door.
His status as a well-known drill artist allows him to recruit young people, and that process will take place by buying them things, taking them out for meals, paying them, and then eventually Isaac will want something in return for that, whether that be going out and carrying out an act of violence, or whether it will be moving drugs or guns around. And, you know, we speak to the parents of these young men. They don't understand how their son can go from someone playing football with his mates to full-on gang member going out stabbing someone. It is a grooming process. We want to know who he is. We want to know about his associates. We want to know about his family. We want to know everything about him.
Tonight, the detectives plan to follow Donker to try to get evidence of him grooming children.
We've got a surveillance operation ongoing, so that's what we're trying to do tonight, is to kind of gather intelligence on him because of his position as kind of head of the gang, as somebody who we believe is instigating violence, and he's recruiting young kids to commit that violence on their behalf.
The gang have another drug dealing plot along here. The Ladbrokes here on the left is where you get a lot of them hanging out, and it's where a lot of our gang nominals, it's recruitment ground for them. And you feel for the parents because they do their best to prevent their kids, but they're sort of caught up with it all as well because they live on the estate and no one grasses each other up.
After 2 weeks, the surveillance operation identifies 15 teenagers detectives believe have been groomed by Donker.
And they are aged between 14 and 17, and they are at a number of schools and across both Newham and in Barking.
We've got at least 15 individuals. They're all at risk of being killed or killing, and as we go into summer, that risk increases exponentially, as we found out last summer.
So as you can see, Young Dizz was very highly ranked in the gang for a whole task force to be focused on him and the fact that he was luring and grooming these young children. And as we've just seen in the footage, it said he lured up to 15 children aged between 14 and 17. Now that's pretty crazy, and as a parent that might be quite concerning, not gonna lie. Like, imagine if you had a 14-year-old child and they're getting lured into a gang by a big adult. Like, it's crazy just to think about. But yeah, as you can see, they did have a big task force on him before the whole kidnapping situation, and that's pretty crazy, not gonna lie. This is a serious guy that the police were dealing with, as you can see. There is songs out there that Young Dizz is involved in where he talks about being a part of a kidnap squad and saying that he's willing to kidnap people. So this is obviously alarming to the police. What I'm about to show you now is a recreation of the exact phone call of the parents of the child who got kidnapped last August.
Hello, this is police. What is your emergency?
I'm calling about our son. We are worried about his safety, actually. He popped in at home about 45 minutes back. He was very much upset and scared.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he received a call and he went out. And now his mobile is also not on, it's off. We are really worried where he is.
Do you feel like he's in some sort of trouble?
Yeah, he said that I can't stay there because the people who are after me know that address.
How old is he?
16.
I have put it on priority, so we are coming in the next 15 minutes.
So when the boy had returned home, he told his mum and dad that he had been kidnapped by 5 men, Donker and 4 youths, like I was saying before, 2 age 16 and 2 age 14. This had happened in Barking, and what had happened was, they turned up in a dark blue Ford Mondeo. He was threatened with a machete, 2 plastic bags were put over his head, and it was secured with an elastic band. He then got driven to one of the teenagers' homes who Young Dizz was with, and was tortured for 2 hours. He was hit with a metal pole over his face, his back, his legs, his arms, and his hair was cut. Young Dizz had also stripped him naked and threatened to cut him up. He attempted to pour boiling water over his head, but missed, and the water hit his feet, and that caused serious damage to his feet. Also, within this time, his parents were called and he was forced to beg for £1,500. Police got intelligence that it was Young Dizz who committed the kidnapping, so they brought him in for questioning.
After a manhunt, he's arrested in his car in a nearby shopping centre.
Can I take your surname, young man?
Young Kilhead.
Sorry?
Young Kilhead.
Offences?
GBH. The victim was kidnapped. He was assaulted, boiling hot water was poured on him, and items of property stolen from him.
Yeah.
You have a street name, I understand. What is your street name?
How come, man?
We believe your street name to be Young Dizz.
How come?
The victim says that when he gets into the car, he immediately recognises the driver as Young Dizz. Is that you?
How come, man?
That is you, isn't it, Isaac?
How come, man?
You say to him, you're a dickhead, you fucked with the wrong person. What do you mean by that, Isaac?
How come?
Why would you say that? He then says that you come back a few minutes later with a boiling kettle and that you go to pour it over his head. Feel like it's all coming on top of it at the moment, Isaac? Or are you just sitting there planning on how you're going to get this victim to withdraw the statement? I've got something to show you, Isaac, because whether you turn this victim or not, it's not going to matter.
The detectives find distressing footage of the kidnap and torture on the suspect's phone.
Bring your face here. Yo, Big Man, bring your face here. Right here. Right here, right here. Here. Come closer. I need to be able to feel it. Come closer. Come closer. Yo, turn your face a bit here because I can't slap it.
So that's you talking there, Isaac. I can hear that's you talking because I can hear it from your no comments. Same voice, posted from your Snapchat, and that is a picture of our victim. And then you say, come closer, come closer. I can't smack you properly unless you come closer. You're laughing there, Isaac.
Get on your knees, get on your knees, get on your knees, bro.
You demand he gets on his knees.
Get on your knees, big man.
Knocking him. There we go. Kick to the face, mate. That's on your phone. That's your voice. That's your Snapchat account. That's you filming that. That I'm going to play to the judge and to the jury. What you got to say about that, Isaac?
Can I speak to my solicitor in private?
Just going to pause the tape.
The police had said the reason for the £1,500 being demanded and the kidnapping taking place was the fact that he'd been groomed by Young Dizz and that he'd been given money and he'd been taken out and bought new things and it was time for him to pay up. It's like I was saying in my last video I did about Young Dizz. The police claimed that there was evidence out there that he had recorded this on his phone and it was sent on Snapchat, which we've just seen has been confirmed. And wow, that is fucking crazy, I'm not gonna lie. I knew the footage was out there, but I really didn't think they'd show it on the Met Policing London. I know we couldn't see it, but the fact that you could just hear the audio is so crazy to me. They pretty much have him banged to rights, even if there's witness intimidation and trying to pay witnesses off. You've got him banged to rights there. It doesn't matter, the evidence is there, it's clear. And now we can see why he got the 12.5 years. Also in my last video, we were saying that on the phone, there was evidence to show that the 4 teens were with him as well.
The phone evidence shows that Donker didn't carry out the kidnap and torture alone. 2 of a number of teenagers groomed by him are also arrested.
How old are you?
13.
13. This young man has been arrested for kidnapping, GBH, and robbery. Have you got any medical conditions?
No.
Mental health problems?
No.
The younger gang members who get involved in that violence is a combination of things. I mean, part of it is, the fear of, the other gang members, particularly the elders. And part of it's, violence perpetuates further violence. Once you're involved, it becomes easier to do next time. As a kid gets, further into a gang, it becomes part of what they do. They're, fully immersed in the gang culture.
You're 17, I take it?
15.
15.
This is a major breakthrough for the investigation. The new phone evidence is the proof they've been waiting for. The detectives suspect that the young boys carried out the violence and torture on Donker's orders.
Just demonstrates the control that Young Dizz has over these young men. It is a grooming process, in a similar way to the way, ISIS terrorists would use the internet to groom and recruit other would-be ISIS terrorists. It's the same process.
You brainwash these kids. Do you go outside the school gates to go and meet them? Because that's what they do, they go to school.
No comment.
You use young boys and they're willing to do things for you because you groom them. But I also think you do it because ultimately, if it all comes on top, they'll take it for you. We find you with drugs, they'll take your drugs. We find you with weapons, they'll take those weapons. But this time, that's not going to happen, Isaac, is it? So is there anything you want to say?
No comment.
Donker is charged with conspiracy to kidnap, false imprisonment, blackmail, and GBH. He is remanded to prison to await trial.
So with all the evidence that was presented to him, the phone being the main one, it all pointed to him doing the kidnapping, and then he was charged for it. We can see that all these young kids, they're getting groomed by Young Dizz. I think mainly because him being a drill rapper and him being a part of a gang, I think it's something that's appealing to these younger children. And I think for these young kids, when they see Young Dizz and they're like, wow, they get like starstruck by him. And I think they're easily groomed into what he's got going on. In my last video, it was also said why Young Dizz was put on remand and waiting for his court date. It was said that Snapchat messages were sent to the victim to intimidate him to drop the case off, but also tried to be paid off as well.
2 weeks after Isaac Donker's arrest for kidnapping a 16-year-old boy, Trident get intelligence that Donker is issuing orders from prison to young gang members to intimidate the victim.
As we all know, on the 2nd of August, Isaac Donker was involved in the kidnap of a young man. These 2 arrests today are linked into the kidnap. The first person we're looking at is who's a young male. We believe that Young Dizz has tasked him to approach our victim on social media platforms and demand that he drop the case and make threats towards our victim. He's going to be arrested for witness intimidation. The second male, it's believed that he tips off Young Dizz and the other males who were with him that night of where our victim was so that they were able to locate him and take him.
The 2 teenagers have also been groomed into the gang by Donker. They are arrested for carrying out his orders and brought into custody.
Once a kid's in a gang, it is really hard to escape. I mean, the successful safeguarding that's been done usually involves them being moved out of London. You can't just walk the streets of Newham. Having been in a gang and hope to then live a normal life, it doesn't quite happen like that because the gangs won't leave you alone. Once you're in, it's really tough to get out.
How old are you, my friend?
For the defendant's own protection, by releasing him, it is believed that his risk from other members of the gang.
On this occasion, I'm going to refuse bail due to the seriousness of the offence, and you are a member of a gang.
I'm not a member of a gang.
For that reason, I'm going to refuse your bail. You're going to stay with us and you'll go to court tomorrow morning, OK?
It's for your own protection as well. You've got to realise that. You just can't take that.
My own protection?
Imagine if something happened to you. Who's responsible? We are.
It's not my protection. You want to keep me here?
I want you.
Yes, you do.
You don't realise this.
No,
what's going on?
I'm not under any danger or nothing.
On the suspects' phones, detectives find further evidence. Messages that confirm Donker is controlling the young boys from prison.
The evidence is clear, those demands are coming from Isaac Donker from within prison. He's trying to persuade the victim to drop the case.
Their criminal actions are often violent with little regard for their victims or the law and cause distress to the local community. The victim in this case has been suffocated, burned, beaten with weapons, humiliated. The victim is fully in danger of being killed by the OCN. And if bailed, was allowed to confer with other members of this gang and intimidate the victim and his family.
And if I can get Dad, if you can sign there to say you were present.
I believe he's not involved in all those things. He's a kid, you know.
He's just a child, I don't understand you.
It is shocking that, 14, 15-year-olds are recruited into the gangs. Often they do end up in that kind of cycle of committing violence, becoming victims of violence. By the time they're 17, they are kind of a lost cause into that kind of revolving door of the criminal justice system. So, it's definitely a kind of the intent of everyone here is to try and prevent that happening. But often, that window is so small that we miss it. We miss the opportunity, and they come into our target set. And before we know it, that 16-year-old, 17-year-old, they are a suspect for murder. These are life-changing events that actually you never really will totally recover from.
I find it crazy that even after when they've been released from prison due to the kidnapping charges, that 2 of the teenagers have now been arrested again for suspicion of murder. That is actually baffling. And it just goes to show you that once you've entered this gang life, like they were saying throughout the program, it's hard to then get back out of that gang life. And I do believe it really is, especially when you're around those people. You're going to be influenced very easy. But as you can see, we've deep dived more into the case. I hope now you've got more of an insight as to what went on. If you want more videos like this, let me know down in the comment section below. I don't really do these kind of videos, but I thought it'd be good to do a review on it and a little bit of a deep dive. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of this in the comment section below. Give the video a little like. If you're new around here, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. It's been your boy Poncho, and I'm out.